And welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. The Messages of Inspiration and Hope is proudly brought to you today by the good guys at the 6minutewebinar.com. And we're so glad that you joined us today. Donna may have a little issues there at the internet. We don't know, but we're going to drive on. We got a wonderful guest today. In fact, let me put the banner up there and you'll see that we've got Lyn-dee Eldridge with us. And let me tell you what, you're in for a treat today. Donna, she's known as the Queen of Happiness. That says it all, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. But we'll be right back with Lyn-dee in just a couple of moments. You really want to listen to this lady. She's got a wonderful sense of humor. She's got a lot of great information she wants to share with us because in this day and time, there's two things we need. We need some good positive messages with all of the nonsense, and that's what it is. It's nonsense being vomited on society, and we need some good old-fashioned laughter. We'll be back with both of those right after this brief message.
Hi, and welcome to the Messages of Inspiration and Hope show that's proudly sponsored by the 6-Minute Webinar. Today we have some exciting and very interesting guests, real people just like you and me. Thank you for tuning in. Enjoy the show. Now here's Jim.
And thanks to Charlene Fouch for doing our commercials with us. Oh, yeah. Donna, I tell you what, we had some good laughs with Lyn-dee before the show even started, didn't we?
Yes, we did. She's a sweetie.
Oh, she really is. And we apologize for the audio there with Donna because her internet's been kind of goofy. She's had a technical person come out and he was so intelligent he couldn't find anything. So she may have him come back out again. But we're going to drive on. But let's welcome Lyn-dee to the show. Hello, young lady. How are you? And welcome.
Hello, Jim and Donna. Thank you so much for inviting me onto your platform. I'll tell you, messages of inspiration and hope. We need that today, don't we?
We certainly do.
Yes, we do. So thank you very much for doing your part and delivering it each and every day to others. You are angels, and I appreciate you. Thank you.
Well, thank you. And Donna has been a big part of that all the way through. She is a loyal warrior. And if she just sits there and just smiles and looks pretty, let me talk or whatever, if audio's not good, that's good enough. You know, she brings the good looks and I bring, let's see, wait a minute. She brings the good looks and the brains. What do I bring? Let's see, I'm trying to think. Oh, well, never mind. It's not important.
What a team you both are.
Oh,
magical.
We have fun here because people want to be uplifted. People want to have some positive things, in their life.
Yes.
Learning how to have a positive mental attitude. That's the foundation of all success. It really, truly is. And I love your titles. It says you're the Chief Happiness Officer at the Happiness Jungle LLC. Let me bring up and put up your website there and let me know if I got this correct.
You sure do?
I tell you, sometimes I do things right. Other times I don't, In addition to that, you're also one of the most uplifting public personalities. You were introduced to us by a very good friend of mine in Donna's. That is Tamara Hunter.
Oh my gosh, what an angel, huh?
Tamara and I go back a ways. And if I may share a little bit about this, the background, how this show got started before we start with your great interview. We started during the pandemic, and it was back in March of 2020. We were all on lockdown, and Bill Heinrich, one of our executive training directors, he said, hey, why don't we just put on a Zoom webinar, broadcast it live on Facebook and call it Messages of Inspiration Hope. We got a lot of speakers. Just invite them to come in and share some information. And we did that for about 300 and something speakers. We were over 300. And then Tamara Hunter called me and she says, Jim, you need to bring this show to E360 TV. And I said, okay, what's E360 TV? She said, it's an internet network. It broadcasts all over the world on millions of devices. And we got to talking to Aaron Hymas he's the president of E360 TV. And that's how this whole thing came about. The reason I share that story with you folks out there is because when you look to help others first and you come from the heart,
Yep.
little hinges will open the big doors in front of you. And I got to ask you, I see Wobie there, AKA Lyn-dee Eldridge. I got to ask you, how in the holy enchiladas did you come up with a name like Wobie?
Well, it's really funny. Well, my daughter, who is now 35 years old and granted me 4 beautiful granddaughters, but when she was pregnant with her firstborn child, she was not feeling well. And pregnant ladies, we know what it's like to have the flu and be pregnant and not be able to take any medication. So she was sitting or laying down in my lap in New Hampshire, and we were in my loft, and she looked up at me and she said, Mom, what is the baby going to call you? As I'm caressing her head and doing the mommy cuddling stuff, And I said to her, sweetie, I have no idea. But when the baby gets here, I'm sure we'll figure it out. And as she was asking me, I was just caressing her head and just doing the mommy thing. And she goes, you are so whoopee, which means safe and secure and everything good, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she looked up and she said, Mom. And I said, what? I really thought that maybe she had an accident on the couch. And she said to me, I know what the baby's going to call you, Whoopee, because that's who you are and that's how you make people feel.
Wow. So
from that point on, I have been known to Whoopee as Whoopee to many, Mm-hmm. And let me just share with you the beauty of who we are. We have to sometimes look at ourselves in the mirror and say, who are we really? So my mom gave me the name Lyn-dee, Lyn-Dee, and that's who I have been known for a very long time. Well, when my granddaughter was born 14 years ago, that changed a little bit, and people started calling me Whoopee. Now, when people look at and think of Lyn-dee Eldridge, they usually think of funny and crazy and just always there to help, New York state of mind kind of girl. But Whoopee is something that's more endearing. So my mom gave me the name Lyn-dee, and I wore it very, very well for 60 years. My last names and our last names are given to us, aren't they? They're given to us. Well, my last name is Eldridge. It was my former husband's name. It's not mine. It has nothing to do with who I am, but I kept it because I liked how it sounded. Lyn-dee Eldridge. I liked that ring. Before that, I was Helenar. That was my first husband. And again, it wasn't who I am. Well, when I moved to South Carolina, and everybody is starting to really recognize me and call me Whoopee, my friends and endearing children, I realized, that's who I am. I really am Whoopee. So from that point on, when I moved to South Carolina, December 1st, I've been introducing myself as Whoopee, and it's sticking, and I like it. It feels good on me, right? So I wanted to just share that with you because we're given names, and a lot of us take ownership, which I did for 60 years. But then I realized, who am I really? I'm Whoopee. So that's the story.
I like that. And I want to ask you if you would share with the audience, please, the Queen of Happiness. How did that begin, and how did that turn into a journey and become who you are?
That's a great question. All of my titles, the Chief Happiness of the Happiness Jungle, the Queen of Happiness, the First Lady of Happiness, these were all given to me. These are not things that I decided to call myself. It gives me, I'm very humbled by that because I've been working on myself since 1986, right? And I've always been, you could ask anybody that knows me ever since I was young, if you could find them.
Oh, goodness.
When Lyn-dee was around, we always had fun. When Lyn-dee was around, we always were able to talk with her and get good advice. When Lyn-dee was around, we always had so much fun. We are who we are. Our purpose has been in us since we're little children. But some of us don't even recognize that. And I didn't recognize that until I started growing into my own adult self. And one thing was leading to another. And all of these amazing doors started opening because I learned more about personal development and how to learn about myself and how to really pivot into who is Whoopi? Who is she? And that is exactly what happened. So I've been very blessed with this journey. When I and I asked God in the universe, what am I going to do? Who am I? Right? It came to me, but it wasn't like magic, right? Everyone's thinking, all right, well, I'll just sit here and I'll wait for the answer. No. It's a process of becoming, right? Who you want to be, and everybody can do it. Everyone can do it. So that's other people called me and named me and titled me Queen of Happiness and First Lady of Happiness and Chief Happiness Officer and everything else that I've been called.
Oh, yeah. I hear you. I understand. Those are wonderful titles because it shows a clear reflection of who you are. And for the folks out there, a lot of people were caught up in the physical. We worry, we work, we want this, we need that. And all you do when you're in that frame of mind, you enslave yourself. But just like we'll be here, Lyn-dee, whenever she reaches out and her focus is on bringing happiness and joy to others in their hour of need, that's when all these problems that people are so involved with, they seem to just disappear. And that will help you get from where you are to where you want to be. A classic example that I tell people, because Don McGrath and I, we created the Speaker's Pathway originally. It evolved in the Scale Pathway, me and Don and Bill Heinrich. And we also created the 6-minute webinar. But my point being is that when we focus on people, we ask them, what is it you want to do? And if their answer is, I just want to make money.
That's right.
We got a problem.
Right.
Because if you're just in it for the money, you'll always be hungry.
Very well.
But if your focus is on how your product or your service or whatever you can offer someone out there in their hour of need to help lift them up and help them solve their problem or their pain, and that's your focus point, the money will come.
Absolutely. I teach people all the time, Jim, stop chasing money.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Because
money.
I did that for 35, 40 years, and I wore all my tennis shoes, and I can't run no more.
Oh, it is so true. I've been working on myself for 35 years. I have been a student of personal development for 35 years. I did not go to college. I was brought up in a very toxic home. I was married at the age of 18. And I found myself in a domestic violence, abusive relationship with a narcissist man. I became a single mom when my daughter was 15 months old. You see, we have choices that we could make. So you speak about people have problems. I don't call them problems. I call them challenges. And challenges are brought into our lives to strengthen us, not weaken us. But we have a choice of which way we want to handle our challenges. And we need to understand that we are in control. And everything that happens to us doesn't happen to us. It happens for us. And you have to look at it and say, what is the purpose? I had the breast cancer. I got divorced 3 weeks into radiation. I became a caretaker of my mom, who was an extremely abusive woman. There was a lot of changes in my life that I could have sunk under the covers and went into a deep depression. But instead, I always looked up and I said, what is the purpose? I'm an author. I get to, because I was brought up in a toxic home. Think about this, everybody. what have you been through that you really want to help others through? Because it's like what Maya Angelou said. It doesn't matter what you've done for people. It doesn't matter what you've said to people. What they will always remember is how you've made them feel.
Mm-hmm.
Maya Angelou. I was a student of Jim Rohn, physically a student of Jim Rohn, because he was alive back then. That was when he was bringing on his legacy.
Mm-hmm.
Jim Rohn and Zig Ziglar.
Oh, yeah.
Les Brown.
Mm-hmm.
So I share this with you because I changed my outlook of life, thinking I'm a Murphy's Law. Anything that can happen happens to me. Woe's me.
Mm-hmm.
And I changed that mindset because I became a student of personal development and realized understanding how to take ownership and how to understand self-love and how to be able to look at things from a different lens. So I look back at my life, Jim and Donna, and I say to myself, what was the purpose that I was brought up in a toxic home and so badly abused emotionally, physically, sexually, mentally, every which way? Because now I speak at schools of all different ages because I relate to our children that are having so many emotional challenges. I'm not a computer. I haven't learned this in college. I learned this because I lived it. So when I go on these stages, look, we have kids that are committing suicide and the rate is over the top.
Yes.
When I come in and I share with the students, they relate to me as I relate to them. And I have them start enjoying the journey of their vision of who they want to be.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about respecting yourself. So
Yes.
that's why I had to go through the domestic or the toxic upbringing, domestic violence.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't have my daughter. That's number one.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, I was gifted 4 more beautiful granddaughters. And number three, I speak to women on all different women platforms to help them understand there's a safe way of getting out of your situation. And I wrote a book, and it's called Tears of Fears Behind Closed Doors. It's my journey, but it's to inspire you. You're in this situation. Are you ready to get out?
Amen. Amen. I tell you, when we first started the original webinar series, the thing that blew me away was a lot of the lady speakers came there and they told their story of being brought up in a toxic household and getting into a toxic marriage. And, it's really, guys that, are narcissists and who are just tyrants to live with. Let's be honest. That's exactly what they are. They always beat up on the lady, and they always beat her down too, and talk down to them and all that. And for ladies to overcome all of that and say, this is where I was, but this is not where I'm going to be because my journey is special. I tip my hat to you ladies. I mean, I've got to, because I was just a little country boy that grew up on a farm. The only problems I had was self-inflicted through my overly intelligent brain. That's a nice way of saying my dumb mistakes. But I tease people about this here. I says, me and my little friends that grew up in the country, we grew, Dad grew cotton and corn, and we didn't know we were poor till we went to town. But what we were rich in, money could never buy. The love that I have from my mother. Wow. And I used to tease my mother, and I tease my wife when she makes a delicious meal. And I said, wow, this tastes good. Did you make that with hands of love? And she'd say, it doesn't matter. You're going to eat it anyway. Okay. I can do that.
Jim, I want to touch on 2 things that you spoke of, okay? It's not only women that are battered. I have clients, I have phone calls that come into me from men that the women are vicious and they're mean.
Yeah.
So I wrote my book because it's my story, and it started with women. And then men were coming to me and say, how come you didn't include men? I said, because a man hurt me. I don't know your story. And they would start telling me their story. So I go out to the guys out there too. I really do. My heart goes out there. we don't have to live in this. Life is too short. Hasn't coronavirus taught us that life is too short? Hasn't coronavirus taught us that we don't need a lot to be happy?
Amen.
And
I mean,
I've been divorced for 3 years. And I got to tell you, I replaced my husband with a Happiness Jungle emotional support body pillow that is now converting into what's called the Cuddle Me Love body pillow.
okay.
And
Yeah.
we could do this.
Mhm.
We could do this. If I got divorced 3 weeks into radiation because my former husband needed to just check out, I needed to understand that I had to forgive him for his weaknesses and move on.
Mhm.
So he was literally, and all I wanted to be, Jim, was hugged at night and just held, because I didn't know what to expect. And he couldn't do it, so I forgave him for his weaknesses. Out of tragedy comes treasure. When you look at live life on purpose, what is the purpose of the breast cancer? I'm an author of a book that's called Squeeze My Tatas. You're only one mammogram away from knowing. I have a gentleman who dedicated a chapter who had the breast cancer. I speak on medical stages. What is the purpose for the divorce? When I was with him for 14 years, it's the emotion, it's the Cuddle Me Love body pillow. As a matter of fact, I have it here. Look at this.
Oh, okay. All right.
And I have it here because I sit with it while I work. And it literally, it hugged me every night, so much so that when I am speaking on stages and writing in my books, I write about the pillow. Jim and Donna, what was the purpose? People were coming to me and said, I want the pillow. I need the pillow. Can I order the pillow? So I decided to go ahead and manufacture the pillow. Now, Mr. Les Brown was one of my biggest inspirations in 1986. That was the year that I got divorced from my first husband, the abusive narcissist one. And it was Mr. Les Brown. Can I share that story?
Sure, please do. Yes.
We pray to God. And we pray to whoever our God is, but we're praying for peace. And, oh, dear God, can things change? Why is this happening to me? That's the wrong way to ask, but that's what we say when we're going through this conflict, right? When the student is ready, the teacher appears. When I got married at the age of 18, I wanted to love marriage. I believed in my vows. There was no way, no matter what I was going to go through, that I would ever get divorced. I was going to work through it. That was my choice. It was horrific for 6 years. It was hell for 6 years. But I wasn't willing to give up on that vow because that was my commitment. Things changed when I had my daughter and she was 15 months old. Things changed the day that she got all of her shots and I wasn't able to have dinner on the table for my first former husband, who's known, by the way, as Anus in the book Tears of Fears Behind Closed Doors. And he came home that day and I wasn't able to have dinner on the table for him because I was busy holding my baby who had all of her shots. That was the day that everything changed, the defined moment where the student was ready, me, and the teacher appeared, Mr. Les Brown. And he showed up on Channel 2, PBS, 1986. We didn't have all these channels, right, Jim and Donna? We didn't have channels, right? This is the Jetson era. And Les Brown came on about 5 minutes before Anus walked through the door. And he said, you have greatness within you. I didn't even know who this man was who was talking. You have greatness within you. What? Don't ever give people permission to steal your happiness, your joy, and who you are. What? And he kept on talking, and as I'm cradling my baby, and Anus walks in, and he started yelling because he noticed that dinner wasn't on the table, and he didn't allow me to explain why that night we're going to have to order a pizza. He came in like he normally did, but something happened. The student was ready. Les Brown was my teacher who appeared. My daughter gave me the courage, and I looked up at Anus, and I said, we're getting a divorce. I said, it might have been my choice to stay here and stay in the abuse and to be a voluntary victim, which is what I had to say that I was voluntarily staying for. But it was not the decision of this baby that's in my arms. I am not bringing her up in this environment. We're getting a divorce. And of course, he said what he had to say, but that was the beginning of finding who I am. And for the next 20 years, I was raising my daughter and I was becoming an entrepreneur. People say, how can I change careers? This is all I know. Here was the secret. I had no college. I'm street smart. I'm also anorexic or dyslexic. I'm not anorexic. Do I look anorexic? But I'm
them fancy words all get kind of crossed up anyway.
But here was the deal. I'm street smart. I'm hands-on. If you'll show me and let me do it and you watch, that's it. So if I'm intrigued, wow. So I was answering ads that said, no experience necessary, will train. I'm thinking to myself, why not me? They said they don't need experience. And here's the key to the beauty of this. I was also, and we'll get to that, but I also own businesses, and I would much rather hire somebody who didn't have any experience so I could shape them into the employee I wanted them to be. So there was an ad in the paper. This was the first job I got after I got divorced from Anus. And it said, dental lab technician to work in the lab making dentures. No experience necessary, will train. And I'm like, that would be pretty interesting. And I applied and I got the job. And I made full teeth. And then my life just kept on pursuing when there were open doors that I was intrigued in. You see, life is a journey of different stepping stones. You're not stuck anywhere. You could learn whatever you want to learn at whatever age. I was 57 years old when I had to restart my life. 57. I'm now 60, right? And I share that with you because we're never too old to learn something new. So for everybody that's watching, the show is called Messages of Inspiration and Hope for a reason. If you're wondering, what are you going to do because you lost your job during coronavirus? What is it that you're going to do because you're not happy with what you are doing? The answers aren't really that far. They're right there. Go anywhere and just pull up no experience necessary, will train, where are those ads? And if they're intriguing you, then go and apply for them.
Yeah, absolutely. I like that because it's all about, getting it up, getting it in gear and get going.
Get going.
And I mean, like I tell people, don't be afraid to make a mistake. At least when I make a mistake, I can honestly say I put my heart into it. And everybody knows it was a big boo-boo.
Yeah, but those are the boo-boos. If we didn't have those boo-boos, Jim, how are we going to learn and grow?
Oh, yes.
So everybody that's stuck and just sitting there day after day doing the same thing over and over again, you're asking God, you're praying to God, please help me change things. And the doors are opening and you're not going through it because you're like, I can't do that.
Yeah,
it's not the right.
So
you keep on blocking what God is giving you, what you have.
It really amazes me how people also, they don't get over things. They want to continue to punish themselves rather than love yourself, forgive yourself, and say, okay, that was a bad decision, and go on.
Right.
Because we all make bad decisions in life, and learn to love yourself first. Then you can love others and focus on being a blessing to them. Zig Ziglar said for many, I don't know how many years he said this or how many thousands of times, he said, you can get anything out of life that you want, as long as you help other good people get what they want. And he got that from, I think it was Proverbs 11:24-25 in there, where it talks about the generous person by watering others will be watered themselves. Now, think about that. It's kind of like the farmer wanting to have a good bumper crop at the end of the year. Well, he's got to start planting the field. He's got to work that field. He's got to work the crops. He's got to let the crops grow. And then at the end of the season, that's when the harvest comes in. And that's the mindset that we all have to have. And I'd like to add one more thing, if I may, before we get back to Lyn-dee. When I speak, sometimes I talk about the LLAR system. The first L stands for love. Everybody wants to be loved. Everybody wants to be liked. Everybody wants to be appreciated. And the R stands for, well, respect. And in 1967, when I graduated from high school, I'm 72 now, and I'm convinced that Aretha Franklin saw my English grades in high school, and bless her heart, she was so sweet and so kind, I know she spelled respect for me. RESPECT.
I love you. I absolutely adore you. And it's so true. Number one, pat yourself on the back that you've made a mistake and ask yourself, what did you learn from it? Because there are lessons in our mistakes, so we don't do that again. I look at life so differently. When things go on, I'm like, what was the lesson in it? And do I take ownership? A lot of people don't want to take ownership, and they just love all this noise around them. I don't like noise. I would rather pause, and I would rather respond than react. And these are all things that, but you have to invest in yourself. You have to go to seminars. You have to really want change in order to have change. You can't stay the way you are. You could be a student like I am for the rest of my life.
Absolutely. People ask me at age 72, I'm going to be 73 in August. They say, when are you going to retire? I said, well, that's very simple. The day before I die. And if I get a chance, I'll call and let you know. If not, I'll see you on the other side of the Jordan, you know?
That is so true. People ask me the same thing. When are you going to retire? And I'm like, why? Why should I retire? I am so filled on a daily basis with how I contribute into this wonderful world of ours. Crazy, wonderful world.
Oh, yeah.
But I never want to stop doing, because I found something passionate that I love, which I speak on stages all over the world. I held workshops and little retreats. And why would I give that up?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I agree with you, because it's such a blessing to have that talent and to hone your skills. Now, this is God-given talent. It was given to you for a purpose, not for you to sit around and moan and groan and complain. Anybody can do that. But to be able to do what you do, I mean, my goodness gracious. And I love the name of your podcast. You know, I'm crazy, but you can't lock me up.
That's right. I'm crazy, but you can't lock me up. And you want to know why I called it that? Because people have been telling me all my life, you're crazy. You'll never be able to do that. Who do you think you are? And I'm like, watch. So when I was putting together my podcast, I said, well, what am I going to call my podcast? And I decided, well, I'm crazy and you can't lock me up. And I have, and I would love to invite you both on. I have not only Les Brown on the Bob Burke and Sharon Lecture, so many of the greats. And you want to know why? Because they took ownership to saying, I'm crazy, but they can't lock me up. And I'd like to share my story.
Yeah, I share with people when I was growing up. It was two things that I heard a lot, and this tells you a lot about my intelligence as a young kid and young teenager. My dad would look at something I was doing or hear something I was going to doing or done, and he'd say, son, exactly when did that seem like a good idea to you?
I like that.
And another one, because my dad was a country boy in many ways. He was a country boy. And he used to, one time we had a car hood and we were going to use it as a sled. And we did.
A real car hood?
Yeah, a 54 car hood. Yeah. Like I say, we grew up on a farm. We were poor. We couldn't go down to Western Auto and buy us a fancy sled. So we made one out of a car hood. And my dad says, son, I'd be careful with that. That looks like a good way to skin your ignorance. That was another one. And we got in that thing, about 5 of us kids, and we're going over the field there, over each terrace, picking up more speed. And that thing got going pretty good, because I remember, you know, we clear a terrace and our little butts would hit the bottom. And then one of my friends says, Oh no. We go, what? Ditch. And there was a ditch coming up.
So I
And-
remember being a little girl too, and I grew up in New York, right? And it
Uh-huh.
would snow. We couldn't afford the sleds like you're talking about.
Yeah.
Back then we had the metal trash cans. That's
Yeah.
what so
Oh.
we would slide on the hood of those metal trash cans. That was our sled. That is so funny. Or cardboard boxes.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You bet. I mean, I tell you, that was a lot of fun because when you get on that, you know, that piece of metal there, I mean, you're at the mercy of the physics and gravity and all that good stuff.
It's so true. It's so true. Let me go back to self-love for a second because
Sure.
it's most important. It is the core of
Mhm.
how you could start channeling into your passion and who you want to be.
Mhm.
It's okay to have self-love. It is
Yes.
not your responsibility to help others. Number one, be happy. Number two, respect you. Number three, it's none of your business what others think of you.
Mhm.
As long as you're a good person and you're following what you should follow, then you don't need to believe in the poisonous words. And you got to stop drinking the poison because you're planning for the other person to get sick from the poison and die. And meanwhile, they're laughing and it's killing you.
Mhm.
Self-love.
Yeah.
I had to learn self-love. I used to hate, and I did, to look in the mirror. There was no way I was looking. I would spit at myself. It was not good. And I had
Wow.
to learn because those were one of the exercises that Jim Rohn was teaching, the mirror exercise, right? And we had to go home that night and we had to look in the mirror and we had to speak of what we're grateful for ourselves for and to learn how to smile and how to
Mhm.
what was other people seeing in us.
Mhm.
That was one of the richest exercises I've ever done. And from that day on, I learned how to love myself where I did not love myself. I let
Wow.
other people's words poison.
That is definitely the core of being happy is loving yourself. I mean, that's where it starts. That's
Yeah.
the foundation.
It is.
And I tell people sometimes it's amazing, you know, as long as you're true to yourself and you treat people like you want to be treated, that's the way I was brought up. And it's always kind of shocked me when you hadn't seen someone in 20 years and they say, wow, every time I think about you, I remember this, da 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 da. And I'm standing there, I don't have a foggy clue what they're talking about. But it just goes to show you how easy it is to make a lasting impression on someone for life. So
Yes.
make sure,
To.
yeah, if you love yourself and you love others, you'll be proud of that
Yeah.
lasting impression.
We have choices to make.
Mhm.
We have choices to make. And no matter what, you will be remembered for something.
Oh, yeah.
What is that something that you want to be remembered for?
Yeah. Hey, there you go.
And we speak about this, right? So I
Mhm.
give out little red hearts all over the world.
Mm.
Been doing it for 40 years. I didn't know.
Mhm.
And I was at an event one night and I was speaking with just a guest that was there. And then she waited very politely and then she tapped me on my shoulder and she said to me, excuse me, are you Lyn-dee Levin? I was like, Lyn-dee Levin? I haven't been called that in 40 years. How do I know you? Yes. Yes, I am Lyn-dee Levin. How do I know you? She said, we went to high school together. And I don't know if you remember it or not, but you gave me a red heart and I still have it. And every time things happen in my life, I hold your red heart for inspiration.
Mhm.
I was like, I gave you a red heart 40 years ago?
Yeah.
Because that's what I do.
Yeah.
So when we think back again of what are we passionate about, everything was becoming so crystal clear for me to be the owner of the happiness jungle.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
That's your calling.
that's my calling. Exactly. Exactly. So I manifested, I always said I owe Les Brown.
Mm.
Really helped me on
Yeah.
that divine day. And I said, one day I'm going to meet Les Brown, but I don't want to just take a picture and be one of 15,000 that were in the crowd that was fortunate enough to get my picture taken with him.
Mhm.
No, I want him to know who I am. I want to do something with less.
Mhm.
So let me go really fast forward, okay? I had
Please
the
do.
breast cancer. I wrote the book. I created the body pillow, emotional support body pillow. I invested in myself in 2017. I was down in the South Florida area. I now became the caretaker of my mother, who nobody else was going to come forward for.
Mm.
I was the one who was badly battered and abused by this woman. And yet the king and the queen, my sister and my brother, they had enough of her. They
Mm.
weren't coming forward for her. My mother, when she passed away, Mom, rest in peace, she left behind 29 grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and great-great-grandchildren. Not one of them was stepping forward for her. My mom was quite mean. She was known all over the world as Hurricane Francis.
Mm.
If you go to my YouTube channel, Happiness Jungle,
Mhm.
and there it's in playlist, and you go to Hurricane Francis, you'll meet my mom.
Hmm.
So when I went down there, I all of a sudden stepped in the shoes of becoming my mom's caretaker. What is the purpose? Well,
Mhm.
let me start with the purpose of that. I now am very big a part of the assisted living community. I speak at their conventions. I go to assisted livings and I do a pocket full of joy with the seniors.
Mm.
I never would have done all of this if I didn't become the caretaker and understanding
Mm.
what is this last chapter all about and helping somebody through it. I understand dementia and Alzheimer's and how not to be depressed about it. How about that?
Wow.
And if you'd like, I'll share that with you.
Mhm.
But in 2017, Les Brown showed up and he was in Deerfield Beach, Florida.
Mhm.
And there was a 3-day event. And all I saw on the computer was 3-day event. Les Brown live. I'm like, that's only 30 minutes from me. Now, my mom just so happened to have been in the hospital. And she was going to be discharged the next day. And that was going to be the first day of the event with Les Brown. Now, mind you, I was very broken. I was very broken at that point. I was separated from my former husband.
Mm.
And I was warned in 2016 that I needed to create another way to make an income, even though I was working with him for 14 years and we were successful. See, he warned me, right? He said, our money needs to be directed someplace else. You need to go find a way to make another income.
Mhm.
That's when the Happiness Jungle entity was created, because I take warnings very seriously. And after that, and the Happiness Jungle was created, and I share these stories with you because people are warning you right now that they're warning you.
Mhm.
And then they apologize. And then you're like, see, I knew they didn't mean it. But then it comes up again later on, doesn't it?
Mhm. Yes.
So when the apology came that he didn't mean it, he said it out of anger. And I said, thank you for the apology. But you know what? I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to pursue this new entity that I started, that nothing's even going on with it. But if you want to join me, you can. But I kind of feel like I really need to do it because I take warnings very seriously. And if
Mhm.
anything else, it's just another way to create another income, because I do believe in multiple streams of income. Well, ladies and gentlemen, long story short, I'm divorced 3 years and the Happiness Jungle entity is over 5 years strong. You tell me about the warning that was given to me. And if I accepted the apology and said, you know what, okay, I'm going to put it on the back burner. Where
Mhm.
would I be right now? Where would I be? I don't know where I would be, but I wouldn't be where I am in the Happiness Jungle. That's for sure, right?
Oh, yeah.
So Les Brown. So 2017, I find out this event is going on in Deerfield Beach, Florida. And I knew I wanted to go. My mom was being discharged the next morning. I figured, okay, if I could go and get her discharged early enough, I can make it to that event and I'll bring in an aide to take care of my mom for a few hours. And I set all this up. And I get to the hospital and they're not discharging her so fast. And I'm looking at my clock, right? I'm like, oh my God, I really need to heal. I needed to heal. And I Les Brown. And the doctor came into us at 11 o'clock and he said, Lyn-dee, and this was a whole all weekend event with Les, right? 3-day event.
Mhm.
And he goes, Lyn-dee, your mom's numbers aren't looking good. We decided not to discharge her today, and she's going to stay with us for the whole weekend.
Mm.
I was like, God in the universe, you have my back.
Yes.
I don't have to worry about her.
Yes.
I could go and get healed where I need to be. And I
Amen.
told my mom, I said, Mom, you're in the best place that you could possibly be to be healed. And I've got to go get healed.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, I gave her a kiss and I ran out of the hospital and I ran to Deerfield Beach, Florida. I get there at 11:30. The event already started and I did not register for it because I didn't know about it. And I walked up to the table. There was this beautiful little blonde. And I said, hi, I'm Lyn-dee Eldridge. And I want in on this event and I don't care how much it's going to cost. I need to invest in this and I need to be in there. She said, oh, I'm so sorry. The event already started at 8 o'clock this morning and the next one is in October. I was like, no. You don't understand. And in 30 seconds, with one tear just rolling out of my face, because I didn't want to cry, but the tear just came. And I was broken in 1986, and it was Les Brown who gave me the strength to get out of the relationship. And I'm broken again. And I need this.
Mm-hmm.
She says, you wait here. And I said, I will pay anything. I will sell you my car. I was serious, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And she says, you wait here. Don't move. I looked up at God in the universe and I said, I have to see him. I have to meet him. I got to place a red heart in his hand. Oh, dear God, please let me just meet and see him. And with that, I put my head down and I turned around and down the hallway, Mr. Les Brown is walking towards me. No bodyguards, nothing. And I'm like, I thought he was a mirage. I was like, what? And I walked over to him very politely, keeping my emotions intact. I shared with him the same thing I shared with that woman. And I put the red heart in his hand. And he looked at me and he says, let's go. You're getting it.
Wow.
And then I spoke on the stage, not knowing what to say. I had a standing ovation. And then after that event was over, now I share all of this with you because there was meaning. You all want something so badly. Where are your teachers? Where are they? Go to them. Les Brown is my teacher. He has what I want. I want to speak on stages. I want to be Les Brown. So after that event was over, there was another event that he put together with his kids, and it was called the First Family Reunion with Les Brown and his kids. In 1 week, it's $1,000. I didn't have another 1,000, but you know what? I found another 1,000 because I knew I needed to be there.
Mm-hmm.
So I go, and only 20 people were there. That's called a blessing. There were 1,000 people in the certification event, and only 20 people, me being one of them, a week later, who was willing to pay another 1,000. And the decision. So Les Brown is in the room. He's getting to know me a little bit more. Nothing. His table is right beside me, right? His chair is right there. His briefcase is right there. And his overcoat is hanging on the back of his chair. And his kids called him up in front of the room. Remember my hearts? I decided I was going to fill his briefcase with hearts. I was going to fill his pockets of his jacket with hearts. And my cards. And that was it. So when I found out I had the breast cancer, Mr. Les Brown called me the day after. I made an impact in him somehow, some way. I don't know, but he's starting to know who I am. So the institute closes down and the partnership broke up. And Les Brown felt that he still didn't give everything that we were promised at the institute. Now, I thought that I was filled. It was worth every cent I spent. I did not need any. I thought he gave it all, but he didn't feel that way. So he contacts all of us. This was during coronavirus. 2 years later, almost 3 years later, right? He said, for everybody that was at the institute, I'm sorry. I felt like I cut you off short. Let's get back on Zoom. I'm coming back for you. I got it back to empty. And I'm like, huh. So now my body pillow is already produced. It's already helping hundreds of people around the world. And Les gets on and he's just sharing his story about his current events, not complaining, but he does share with us that he wasn't feeling well. And he did
Yes.
share some of his challenges. And I thought to myself, what if my pillow can help him? Send him a pillow. So you just said something not too long ago about Zig Ziglar. And he said, help enough people get what they need and they want, and you will always have what you need and you want. So here I am sending the pillow, not expecting anything, but I hope it comforts him. He calls me a week later and he goes, Lyn-dee. He said, this pillow is unbelievable. And he gives me his testimonial of what this pillow did for him.
Wow.
And then he says to me, Lyn-dee, do you have a partner? I said, no, sir, I don't. He said, I would be honored if you would accept me as your partner. Manifestation is real. For 36 years, I kept on saying, somehow, some way, Mr. Les Brown is going to become a part of my life. Don't know how, don't know what. And then he said, you were the one who dropped all those hearts in my briefcase and my suitcase. And now we are partnered with the Cuddle Me Love body pillow that is going to go big. And my vision is very big. And I want to open up a pillow manufacturer here in South Carolina, the Cuddle Me Love pillow manufacturing plant, where people could now be employed. And there's a whole thing about that, but it's all going right back to what you said earlier. My company, the pillow manufacturing plant, everybody that's going to work there, from the seamstress to the packers to the ones who blow the pillows with the wonderful fill, and it all lies in respect. So I know that there are people out there that are still dealing with homeschooling and they haven't found the job and they could only work 2 hours a day. What if you could have a place to work that you signed in, you scheduled yourself for 2 hours, and as long as you came to work and you did your 2 hours that you committed to, what if you could have a place like that to come to? So each machine, if you want to come to work on Tuesday for 2 hours, you do. So now number 2 machine is taken for 2 hours. Respect. Make sure that you hold your commitment to me so I can hold it to you.
That's right.
Isn't that beautiful?
It really is.
My vision is huge. I'm going to have a cafe that's called the Happiness Jungle Cafe on the property with a gift shop. We're going to be able to tour the pillow manufacturing plant, and then you could come back into the gift shop and make your own pillow, just like Build-A-Bears.
Wow.
And I will always be giving back to nonprofits. There will be a retreat on the property.
That's just tremendous. And that's what this show is all about. And that's why we have great guests like Lyn-dee here on, because it's all about giving back. It's all about helping one another. And when you were talking about pouring all those hearts into his briefcase, that's classic. And ladies and gentlemen, I apologize because Donna's audio is not working, and I told her just stay there and just smile, and bless her heart. I know it's aggravating to her, but she's a sweetheart, and we're cousins. I think she adopted me or something like that. I called her up one time. She says, "Who's this?" I said, "It's your long lost cousin." It's a long, boring story.
She's delicious.
Yes.
I'm sorry too.
Yeah, but also too, it reminds what you said earlier about people remember how you make them feel. Les, you made him feel a special way with all those hearts and with sending him that pillow, but also when you gave a high school friend a heart. I mean, it's just all about how you make others feel in life and lighten their load, because we all have enough garbage in our life. We all have enough of, the wrong information, the wrong things, being bombarded with stuff. I mean, we just need to let all that go. So I'm going to love myself. I'm going to love others. And, game over, because love is the most precious thing on planet Earth. And you got a little pup around there, and I know
I
you
do.
love. Yeah, let's see you.
You see Ziggy. Oh,
Ziggy.
Somehow or another, he knows when I'm on radio, television, or
Mhm.
doing anything. Because once we're done, he'll start barking.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, he's recharging his ammo right now. Yeah, I tell you.
It's
And
never, ever too late to start living the life that you want. It's never too late for you to change and take ownership, everybody. It is never, ever too late until the good Lord takes you back. What is it that you want your legacy to be? If you don't care, then that's okay. Then that's your choice. But if you care, that's your choice too. If you say you can, you can. If you say you can't, you can't. Working on yourself is a lot of work. Don't you ever take it for granted that, isn't it funny, Jim and Donna, how everybody, they look at where I am today and they're like, oh, she's lucky. Luck had nothing to do with it. It was blood, sweat, and tears. And it's the journey is beautiful when you understand your blueprint. And you get to create your blueprint. And that's why it gives me such joy. And I'm so grateful that Corona is opening up again and I could start having my private retreats for only those that are committed to really working on themselves and changing and going through the process of what it takes.
Yeah.
So you have to qualify to come. I don't allow anyone to, or give anyone permission to steal my happiness and joy.
There you go. There you go.
But I do create very unique retreats for individuals and couples that want to learn how to love and like each other again.
Oh, yeah. That's extremely important because, everybody on planet Earth, they want to be loved. They really do. And they want to be liked and appreciated and respected. And my mother, growing up, my mother used to, and I really appreciate this now more so as an adult than I did when I was a kid. But mother always brought me up to say, if you can't say anything nice about someone, don't say anything at all. And I heard that consistently. And I really thought one other thing she used to say, I used to think this was in the Bible. I really did. She used to preach about cleanliness is next to godliness. I mean, what would I know,
Right.
I mean, yeah, because she was pretty much like that. And but I tell you, when
times in my life, and you have to take ownership for it, guys.
Yes.
There's been times in my life that I wasn't the nicest person to certain people, and I had to take ownership, and I had to recognize that and apologize. And when you apologize, you set things free.
Yes.
They may not accept your apology, but as long as you apologize, that's the best thing you do for you. Go back into self-love and said, I apologize. That's the best I got. And I'm going to work on never doing it again.
There you go. That's when all the scales just fall off and you're new on the inside.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
I love that. Well, ladies and gentlemen, our time is almost gone. We got about 30 seconds left. And I just want to say what a joy and a jubilee it's been for us to have Whoopi on with their hearts and all that. And this is the kind of show that Don and I like to put on every single time. This is how special this show is. And we want to thank you good folks out there all over the world for listening to the show and sharing the show. We really appreciate it. And most importantly, you're going to know some people that you know of that really need to hear Lyn-dee's message. The show will be downloaded tonight, uploaded on our YouTube channel, Messages of Inspiration and Hope, or you can go to e360tv.com and just scroll down to Positive Vibrations and then go to your right, if that's the right, I don't know which way is right here, but just go to the Messages of Inspiration and Hope and the show will be there. Thank you so much today for being with us. Lyn-dee, thank you so very, very, very much in the bottom of my heart for being with us. And if Donna's audio would have been working today, bless her heart, I feel bad for her. I mean, you would have heard some really intelligent things coming from her and she's listening to me.
You guys are just such a beautiful beautiful soul. Donna, you're such an angel. Just watching you, even in your freeze frame, you are absolutely precious and beautiful. And thank you for contagiously delivering it right all through the computer. Your vibes are delicious. And Jim, wow, you're a gift, my friend. You're a true gift to the world. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And ladies and gentlemen, our time is gone and we appreciate it. Please tune in tomorrow. Have a wonderful day. Remember, love yourself first, then you can love others, and you'll be on the road to success. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye, everyone.